Click live.
Okay.
No messing about at this end of the pond, Dominic.
Says we're streaming from my end.
All right. Good
Oh,
evening, everybody. Hello. We are officially live, guys, and we have with us. I mean, obviously, you're used to me and Lisa by now, but we have with us a master coach. That is Dominic. How are you, man?
Great. Thank you so much for this invitation to the live and to be able to speak with you and your group.
You're
So
very
thanks.
welcome. I think there was a little bit of excitement for some of them with you being here, actually, because they think they know you or they know of you and they've seen you, and there's a little bit of excitement to kind of see what's going on, in the world of Dominic.
Well, that's nice. Nice to hear that. That's great.
yeah, let us know. I just want to say, I can see that some people are watching, so let us know if you're here as well. We want to see who we've got with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
And feel free to ask questions as we're talking. We're going to kind of work our way through this conversation and some kind of, we're just going to let it flow. We're going to see where it goes. We've got a bit of an intention. We're going to kind of see where it goes. So if there's any questions as we're talking, guys, just post them and we will get around to them.
Definitely. Yeah. Steer us. Otherwise, you'll see I can go off in any direction. So
they're very used to that, Dominic, with me and Lisa. We are very easily led.
We take no responsibility for the direction I travel. No.
So why don't we just start off, Dominic, just by you just telling us a little bit about yourself. What do you think they need to know about you? And then we'll get started.
So I am I'm executive coach. I've been self-employed for 12 years. The majority of what I do is working with leaders in rather large organizations. And what else? And I also work with some entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, some private clients. Most of my coaching is corporately sponsored. It's usually sponsored by an organization that is actually paying the bill. And I work with the various, usually senior leaders within that organization. So that's the one-to-one coaching that I do. I also work with teams, often in those organizations, in team coaching. I'm trained as a team coach as well. And the third thing that I do is I train leaders or people managers in coaching skills. So the way I say it is I help them to become great coaches rather than good bosses, so that the way they lead is as a coach rather than as a boss. And so that's what I do there. Prior to this coaching thing, I was in the corporate world for 20 years and in large organizations, and I had started in sales, but then I had moved into human resources and interest in training and people side of the business. And the last corporate role I held was an executive position as a vice president of human resources. And then I've been a coach after that corporate career. So, yeah.
Wow. It sounds impressive. And it sounds like a bunch of fun. I'm really excited to hear more about the what I loved in what you just said so much is turning managers and leaders into coaches.
Yeah.
Like that is so cool. And what would you say is it's not a trick question. What would you say is the difference between somebody who's a leader or somebody who's a manager and then turning them into a coach or encouraging them to be a coach?
Yeah. Really good question. And that question will be applicable to all of us as coaches, right? Because it sort of says why we're different as a coach than anyone else you could engage with. Why would you hire a coach? You would hire a coach because you want to go from where you are now to something else. You're not in a relationship. You want to be in a relationship. You've started a business. There's not enough clients. You want more clients. So why would you work with a coach? But you don't need to work with a coach. You could hire a consultant. You could hire, an expert in how to get clients, how to do, all that, right? So this same distinction that I'll talk about with managers is also quite relevant to us to understand why are we different as a coach in terms of what we offer. See, when a manager is a boss, the thing about managers is that they're accountable for results. They own something and they are paid to deliver something. If you're the head of sales, then your accountability is what are the sales in the company. If you're the head of finance, your accountability is getting the reports out, annual report, like all these things. Well, you don't do that alone. So you're a leader for a reason and you're a manager for a reason. And that is that what you're delivering, you cannot do by yourself. That's why you're a manager. You cannot do that by yourself. So you have a team, you have an organization. Now, you could be the boss. It's one possibility. And if you're the boss, what that means is a kind of a predictive, forceful kind of approach to business or to what you're trying to do. So what that has is more of an assertive quality to it, which is, okay, you're part of my team. And Sam, here's what I need you to do. Lisa, here's what I need you to do. And by the way, Sam, this is deliverable back to me by this date and this time. I want updates. So I want an update Wednesday and Friday, right? So notice the force of this, right?
I'd be out.
Yeah, you'd be out.
No.
There's a predict because I'm trying to control. I'm trying to predict. And, that's all cool if you can, you do that. But you run into a bit of a problem like Sam's out the door with this style, right? And the other problem is there's no possibility in it.
Yeah.
There's no possibility. It's whatever is in my mind that's possible for me to do. And everyone else is like, I can move them around to get it done. If you flip it into more of a coach perspective, it's different. Now I've got a team of people, and then there's some coaching sort of principles or premises that I hold you capable. You are all capable, competent people. You're here because you want to be here, right? So now we come together as a team. I'm not your boss, I'm your coach, right? So I'm not your boss, I'm your coach. And we're going to talk about what we can accomplish as a team. And it is an engagement. There is more asking than telling in this engagement, right? So Sam, when you look at this area, Lisa, when you look at your area of responsibility, what do you think of that? What do you think could be improved in this? What ideas do you have for how we might do it differently? There's more asking than telling, because what I'm interested in is engagement. I want to bring your potential and possibility focused into this work we're doing in an alignment to achieving something which is unpredictable for me. See, this is the uncomfort. If I'm your boss, it's more predictable. But if I'm your coach, we get into areas of possibility. I don't know where it could go, but it'll certainly go further than what I can think, right? So it can go to greater possibility and greater results. That's the value for companies and organizations, to build coaching skills into their leaders and help them to bring out potential of people and bring up the performance of people in that way. So, yeah.
I absolutely love that. There's so much for us all to see as coaches, especially if you're starting out or if you're new, that just being where you're at and having somebody help you develop you from where you're at, rather than it being about, I need to be this and I need to get there and I can't do this and that sort of stuff. There's something so wonderfully supportive about, like you said, that the difference between the coaching and the management. Because I think we can sometimes do that to ourselves when we're coaching. So I can try and manage ourselves and beat ourselves with a stick, but actually it's like, I'm here, this is where I'm at, and what do I need to develop? What's going right? What do I need to change? It's such a beautiful reflective practice, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. You're really exploring to what what's possible and what more is there, which is a discover. It's, I mean, you do it as a coach with your clients, is you try to help them see, because you see them and you know there's more there than what they're doing right now. Their coaching business is where it's at. The thing that they're working on is where it's at. But you as the coach, you look at them and say, oh, there's so much more. Like in your mind, you just like, there's so much more. You have no idea what there is, right? Now, neither do I specifically as your coach, but here, all I do know for sure is there's more than is showing up, because that's what my work is to listen as we have conversations, and I will hear the limitation. I will hear the limitation, and then the helping you to think beyond this limitation, because you're the one putting the lid on it, nobody else is. You're the one running the business and thinking it's hard and thinking that it's not that, right? And so that's all in your thinking, right? So as a coach, it's kind of cool. Like I have my own limitation about my own business, but when I'm talking to you who I'm coaching, see, I don't have all that thinking you do about your business. You do. I don't have any of that thinking, right? Yeah. So it becomes really obvious to me where, oh, that was an assumption. That was an assumption. That's not true, right? Like, so I can see things, and as a coach, I can be calm, and then that's the value. You know, why would you work with a coach instead of someone else? Is because, yeah, it's not about that I'm going to tell you what to do. It'll be this we will both discover, like, well, what could you do? What else is there? Where are you limiting yourself, right? And then to break through from that.
Yeah. So cool. Lisa looked like she was going to ask something.
No, yeah, well, I was. It's like, that's what I really heard in what you were sharing, Dominic, around the manager has an idea and therefore tells what to do. And when you flip that to what's possible beyond that manager's thought process.
Yeah.
Like where he's currently at seeing it. What if we worked with him or her to really expand that thinking?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many different ways to do that with someone, which is
right.
which is really cool. And it's like, then you start to create something that wasn't even in the consciousness of the manager.
Yeah.
Right? And I love how you're pointing to this, because I know we've got people in the group who are interested in getting into executive coaching, interested in getting into organizations. And some of the sticking point is like, where do I start with that? How do I actually get in front of the right people to start with? Who are the right people? How do I give them an experience? How do I help them see the value and why they should hire me instead of a consultant?
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know if you can talk to that a little bit. I think it might be helpful for some people that are listening either now or on the replay.
Yeah. Absolutely. And by the way, the more clear you are, this is always our own work, right? Like as coaches, it's like, it's our own work. This is like, well, your level of clarity translates into these conversations with others. They're picking up that sort of clarity and certainty even far more than they're listening to you anyway. They don't listen all that much to whatever words or things that you're using. But what they are picking up is that certainty and clarity that you have. So there's a range in this from, where if you're talking to an actual person that you're going to coach, right, who may be a leader within an organization, or somehow you've been introduced to someone who's like, maybe they're new to that organization, or they're, I had someone reach out on Facebook who was like, my husband, they said, is just got a new position wherever. He's thinking about getting a coach, an executive coach, and can I refer you? Like that kind of thing. So there's you sort of like, why are they looking? Why are they open to this? What's the conversation? Well, new to an organization into a senior level, this is a common use of coaching, right? So a new person going in somewhere. What else? A person who is recently promoted to a higher level, used to be the director of something, and now they are the head of the vice president of IT, something like that. That's another use of coaching. So someone has moved up. And so I just kind of look at these interventions like, where is coaching applied? In my experience, where does it get used? I have an organization, like I have a bank that I work with where they automatically, if anyone is promoted to a VP level, boom, they get a 6-month, and we're assigning you a coach to work with you for 6 months, right? And if they hire in an executive from outside the bank, that executive gets a coach. You may have heard of these idea of, it's called the first 100 days or first 90 days. There's a Harvard guy wrote a book on it years ago, and they talk about it often with presidents, move into position, and they talk how important the first 100 days or first 90 days. So that's a popular coaching intervention. And I've worked with leaders who are new to the organization first, 100 days. So what do you do in these various things? Why this is important and why coaches are useful is because there is something about your mind in that environment or in those scenarios that will either get in your way or can help you, right? If you are just promoted, the trouble is that the reason you were promoted will hold you back. You're so amazing. I can't believe the work you're doing here. We want to promote you from where you are to be the head of such and such. Everything they said about you is the reason they wanted to promote you, is the stuff that is going to trip you up now from being at this level. Because if you take the simplest version of, you are a frontline person who's, head of accounts receivable, or you're in a anywhere, you're in a retail store and you're the ice cream scooper at the ice cream place, right? They say, you're amazing. You've such great customer service and you scoop the best ice creams and you keep the place clean and all that. We're going to promote you because we want you to manage the store. Wow. That's very different. And you think that everything they saw you do, like these strengths that you have, are what are going to make you successful now that you're managing the store, right? And some of the things that you think made you successful are actually what are going to trip you up completely. Because you're now the manager and you were so good at what you did, and you're going to watch someone else do it and basically criticize them because they don't do it well. They do it nowhere near you. If they did, they would have been promoted. Do you see what I mean? So they're not very good, right? And now you're leading and you're managing the store. So you can get yourself tripped up easily because now you're at this position and it's just like, hey, that's not the way you do that. Let me show you a better way to do that. And you should be right? And then all of a sudden, you are actually rather incompetent. You will run into all kinds of problems. And here you were very successful, and now you got problems, right? So now you've got staff and you're getting turnover and they're leaving. And you're like, but I was just promoted. They told me I'm great. And now you're killing it. You're like not good, right? And what went on? It's like there needed to be a different focus of attention and you weren't prepared for it. And so a coach can help that. Is, again, to sort of help you think about what's new here. What's different about, notice I'm using questions. What's new in this new role that you were never dealing with before? What's a realm that you've got to start paying attention to that you weren't paying attention to before? What are things you need to let go of? What is not your job anymore? Like, you might not think of that on your own. Is this different way of paying attention here at work, right? So that's why these sorts of, coaches can be useful in promotions new to organizations. These new to organizations, they come into the organization and it's like, okay, well, this isn't your old organization. So you got to kind of like figure out this organization. You can't be running it the way it was over there, right? So these are.
Do you find, Dominic, because you talked about the like referrals, like you get people referred to you now, but what would you say for someone who's brand new to this, really wanting to get into organizations, coach senior leaders, people going through that transition where they've been promoted or new into an organization? So what would you say to someone who's not in a position where they're getting referrals yet and they want to be really proactive about building their business in this way? Like, what's the first step for them to do?
So my, and if I know you've posted stuff in terms of my website and stuff, my way of building a coaching business is all attraction based. It is not strategy. It's not tactics. It's not marketing. It's none of that. So you will be the person that can work with and bring value to those kind of people. And the more you be that, the more they come. Until you be that, no amount of marketing or changing the wording on the website will get you any client, right? So you'll spend a lot of money, you'll have a lot of conversations, you'll spin your wheels, but the most of the work to be done is on yourself. And it is so when I'm here and my vision is, and by the way, it doesn't take a long time. One of my clients who I work with is kind of like even surprised me. This is always good when you're a coach and your clients surprise you. Then you're kind of like in the right place. But he's like started not in the corporate world. That wasn't the realm. That wasn't what they were doing before. And now they're coaching and they kind of like, oh, I think I want to coach in organizations, right? And it is start in a place that is believable and comfortable for you. So in other words, there's some work you're doing in your mind. I call it work. It's not work, but what can I believe? Right? And so there's something about, well, that person is a manager. I am, depending what my background is. Well, I've worked in organizations and now I'm a coach. Well, that's good because then you actually know what it's like, right? If that's been your background. But if it isn't been your background, then you're going to need to relate in your mind. Because again, in your mind, it's got to relate. Well, but you ran a business before, or you were a real estate agent before, or something, right? So again, it's about how is that, what's similar there in terms of what a manager does, right? It's like, oh, well, very focused on results, very results focused. It's very, so you look for the resonance. And now you're a coach because you've done some training, you understand yourself as a coach. How do you help people with that, those kinds of issues, or being more results focused, given your coaching skills? So as you become clear about that, then your ability to meet up with and converse with people who are in that place to the level that you see it. That's the funny thing, is you're only going to get people to the level that you see. you're the only limiter. As you see higher in ability to, well, I can handle more than just a manager in an area. I there's leadership. I understand leadership. I've been doing volunteer work where I've got teams of people who are work. So you're like, start to see what's the similarity. In fact, my volunteer work is even stronger leadership than in an organization, because the volunteers don't have to do anything. And they won't do anything unless I'm a good leader. At least in an organization with the leaders, if I say something, everyone does it. So you got to look in yourself at what's great about you and what do you see. So this before you even talk to anybody. See, this is like your work, right? Because what it is when you can resonate with that possibility in your mind, it can manifest. When you can see the reality of it in your mind, it can show up in reality. If you have any resistance to this in an ability to imagine or see it, that's your problem. The belief, the thinking that is tripping you up to even see it come together in your mind, believably, that's the thing to actually you need work on, right? Not.
Yeah, I absolutely love that you are sharing this, because I remember when I first started and working with my coach, and I was like, tell me what to do and I'll do it, right? It was like the how that I felt was missing. And if only I knew the how, then everything would fall into place. And what Sam and I both see now clearer than anything is the most work that we've done has been on the being.
Yeah.
Who we are, how we're showing up, really willing to do that inner work, really willing to do it, even when it's so uncomfortable. And then that makes the results happen. Like that has the goal line kind of look after itself.
Right on.
Yeah. So I love that you're sharing that. So if you need to do that stuff yourself, you need to really release some of those limitations that you have in your mind. And that's when someone will see the energy you give off. Someone will see what's on offer from working with you. They'll experience it. But if you don't do that, then they're just going to see doubt, uncertainty,
right.
Everything that they probably want help with.
Right. Very good. Very good. It all begins in the being, as you said. And most people don't believe that, right? So most people don't believe that, but there is a flow of things, and it goes from, and you may have heard of this sort of being, doing, having. Be, do, have. So be, do, have only works in that direction, does not work opposite direction, right? Only works be, do, have. There is, and a way to say is there is something as a state of being that is less physical, more spiritual, more energetic. Because a state of being you can't get your hands around, right? Like that. It from this state of being expresses into more form. That state of being expresses through you into more form, and it moves you. it expresses through you as words. You speak certain things. You don't even know how those words got there. So from a state of being, you find words coming out of your mouth. You find yourself writing things on blogs or whatever it is. And action or doing in the physical formed world always has an outcome. action in the physical world is a cause and an effect in the physical world, right? So when you have those actions, when you are speaking those words and setting up that website, there is a result of this, right? So there is a result that happens. People sign up for coaching, things start to occur, right? But what happens is I want a coaching business like yours. So show me, can you explain your website? Like, how'd you pick that website? So what I'm doing is I'm all interested in what you have. So you have that website, and then can you show me the intake form you're using? Can I get the contracts you guys use, right? Because you see, this isn't that complicated. If you would just give me, or I would go out and acquire the things that you have, well, I'd be a great coach. Because I've seen you guys, right? So if I could just have what you have, then I'll be a good coach too, right? So that's it. I'll just mimic it. And some people will mimic in a different way is, no, I know that's not it. I know it's not the website. So tell me what you do. So can you explain the conversation with the client? Because you guys sign up a lot. So how do you talk to them? What do you say to them? So if I could only understand what you do, right, then I could mimic that. And then I'll get the coaching business like you've got it. Doesn't work, right? It's a state of being, which is inspiring all action. And action in the physical world must result in something. So it is inspired from being, and you are moved into action, and then you have outcomes and results, and you end up with a coaching business that's successful and all of that. We really do not believe that. We mostly think there's something else going on that they don't want to tell me.
Yeah, and we think that there's a shortcut, right?
Yeah.
We want the shortcut version. Give me the form, and then I'll be able to use this form, and then I'll get these results. And it's like, you're not seeing what has gone on behind the form. Like, a lot of work has gone on. And I just love that you've touched on that. I know Sam and I have experienced that a lot recently. Like, being coached, we've experienced service at a much deeper level, and we've seen it being modeled. And what makes our heart sing is when our clients say that back to us as well. Yeah. Right? Like, I've really felt that from you, and now they've felt it, they get it, they've heard it at a deeper, they've experienced it, and it's like they can bring that to their clients now because they've seen something. They haven't understood it. They haven't gone, what is it that Sam and Lisa said? Yeah. They've really felt the impact, and now they know. Now they can start to be that themselves, not being us, being them.
Being them, yes.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, the resistance, what I've noticed and seen is that the resistance in yourself disappears. Like, when there's a focus on who you are being and not what you're getting, the focus, the resistance disappears, which allows you to be more open, and more comes in. There's conversation changes, your actions change. Like, it's completely, and we've been conditioned to see it the other way. Yes. I think it took me a long time to really get my head around. I was like, yeah, it's totally about the being. Totally get it. How do I do this?
Yeah. So then what do I say when I'm with the client? What am I supposed to say, right? Yeah, we just, it's always, but it'll always trick you. Always trick you, right? No, I'm sure there's a secret. I'm sure there's something, right? I'm sure there's a, so no matter how much you know it, you still kind of go back to, but seriously, what do you guys do? How do you do that? Yeah. Where do you go find your clients? Where do you, right? And no one, and even me, when I explain, it's so funny because I'll explain to people, and then here's why this is really hard, right? Especially if they're not your coaching clients, but they're casual, right? You get casual people sometimes reach out, and it's like networking with you about being a coach. And so then they talk about this business stuff, and I'll talk to them. I'll be like completely open about it. And I can tell what they'll do is reinterpret what I've said into what they know to be true, the belief that they have. Oh, okay. So you kind of network, but you don't really network. You sort of like I don't know what you just said, but I'm not doing any of that. Right? but it makes no sense to them It makes no sense to them other than from the paradigm and belief that they have. So the thing is, if they see you and they see you with a result, they need to make sense of it. And how they make sense of it is, okay, whatever. Dominic doesn't really get it, how he does it, but I know how he does it because I've seen him on LinkedIn or I've seen him here. Oh, so that's what it is. He kind of does that, and then he talks to like, I get what and he posts things, and so that, yeah, that's what he does. He doesn't get it, but that's how you do it, right? So even they're trying to pick it apart, but inside the paradigm, right? By what they believe it to be. And yeah.
We listen for what we agree with or disagree with, right? Or we listen to respond, and it's like we really want to know the answer, but again, we're getting in our way because we're not listening at a level that would be helpful for us. We're listening that's in accordance with what you just said, our conditioned belief system. Yeah. We have a question. So we have some words of encouragement as well. It's like, I love this, keep going. So when Shiva sharing that.
Rebecca said it's just like our conversation this morning. I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Laura's asking, hi Dominic, how important is it to have similar technical or professional skills to your clients as opposed to coaching skill if you're not acting as a mentor or consultant?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah. So the truth is, you don't need anything to do with them, right? You don't need anything about their background, their industry. That none of that is actually valuable. That's not what makes you valuable as a coach at all, right? That the closer you are to what they have, the higher your risk is of turning into a consultant, advisor, and mentor. Okay. So, and it's so interesting because people, by the way, so your clients don't know that. They believe that they need someone with this background, right? So, and the truth is, absolutely not. That makes no difference in coaching, right? For them. So what do you do with this? You either, again, it's your mind. You either, clients think it is helpful. Clients think often, oh, you were in financial services? Oh, that's really good. You understand our world. I find it so funny if you ever talk to clients, they'll talk about their industries. Now, once you get clients across industries and clients against organizations, different ones, they're all saying the same thing, right? Oh, thank God you've had a financial services background. You know what it's like here then, right? I'm like, it's the same as my other client just said, and they're in retail, right? It's like, you're not any different. Everyone is, because why? Because they're human beings in all these industries. It's not making any difference, but they don't know that. They think they're in an industry. That industry is fast paced. The other one isn't. There's a million reasons, right? And, oh yeah, so you understand finance people, right? Because they're so different than the marketing people. So everyone's into that. And as a coach, you don't need any of that. And after a while of coaching, you can start to notice some things around clients. Like I do notice sometimes, and even that, you got to watch it because they become biases, right? So I do notice sometimes, like say IT professionals compared to, and finance, right? Compared to sometimes in marketing areas or sales, right? With more rigor or process. But you even have to watch that, because that's not true in every case, right? Because again, they're human beings, right? So if you were in those fields, you're probably more trapped and more limited than somebody coming in who wasn't. Sam, I think you were kind of a personal trainer, that kind of thing, right? Well, you can come in and talk about the idea of achieving results, focusing on something, make it, okay, so if you didn't have all the limiting crap that business person in that industry has, which you don't because you would come in from somewhere else, then you're not going to be, they're not going to tell you a story and then you're going to believe it. See, they might tell me a story and I might think that's actually true. It is kind of hard. But they wouldn't tell you the story, and you would go, yeah, maybe that is kind of hard, but
yeah,
it might not hit you the same way.
Yeah.
So the risk goes higher the more close it is. Right?
That's such a useful thing, especially if we're new to coaching, I think, or at that stage, it's such a useful thing to hear. And what we're saying is stay in, don't talk to anyone, and don't answer the door, and you'll be the best coach ever. No interaction.
So what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to get grounded in the value you provide and why that is you provide this value. And then number two, you do understand that they will come in with a misperception, and don't make them wrong for that, because that's their misperception. And differentiate yourself from everyone else that they're going to talk to, right? In typical coaching stuff, we get in corporate, if you go into organizations, normally best practice is that they'll talk to me and another coach. It's like a chemistry meeting, an interview. They'll talk to a couple of coaches and pick one. And part of the reason that process is there as a best practice is it increases. Imagine you got a coach, you're not paying for it, your company is, right? So they say, Dominic's your coach, and you go, fine, I guess, right? Whatever, work with Dominic. And we work together for 6 months and you don't get anywhere, right? Nothing happens. Well, of course not. They gave me Dominic. How did they, like it was their fault, right? Like, cause that's, so instead you get in and it's like, Lisa, we're giving you a coach because you're right. We're going to have you talk to a couple of coaches. They're all trained and, right. And then you're going to pick, and you're going to have to work with them and decide your goals and all that. And you picked this coach. You had these goals. You wanted this thing, and you're the one who picked the coach you were going to work with, right? So the responsibility and ownership. So Lisa, where's the results? How are you doing with the coaching, right? You this is for you to achieve with the coach, right? So now when they interview you, right? So understanding the reality of, they might interview and think like, what I need is a marketing type who's been in the retail field and understands. So just understand they may have that element, and you know better, right? Okay, let me check myself there. So it's not that you know better, but you know the pros and cons, the possibilities of each. There are possibilities if they get someone out of the industry and all that. That is a set of possibilities. But you're not that. You have a different set of possibilities you can provide, right? Get grounded in what you provide, right? I've been in the nonprofit field forever, and I've worked with mainly volunteers. And part of what I've done is this. And what that's forced me to do is get to a different level of, financial acumen, because we don't have money to spend and all that. So like, what is it? There's something about you that is really useful and helpful, and pick that up and stand confidently on the difference. When you can stand confidently on the difference and the value of that, they might hear it, and you will be a different choice than this other choice. Or maybe if they're interviewing 3 or something, you're the most different compared to these typical. And that's powerful, right? It'll stand out.
Yeah, and that brings us beautifully back to the being piece again, doesn't it? Like who you're being you, whatever that means, to you at the time. And that being the differentiator just brings us wonderfully back to, the being piece. Yeah. That's where our work is. And if that's where our work is, then that's what's going to get us to where we want to get. which ironically is right here.
Yes, because this is where it happens.
Yeah.
This is where it happens. It's like the being piece is here. You're being it now. It's not doing anything. You're being it now, right? And so, and by the way, after all the work you do on it, you know where you're going to find it? Like right here.
Yeah. Exactly.
And here's the only thing that's different. You're not going to have invented anything, and you're not going to have added anything and all of that. The only thing that will have happened is you will have dropped a lot of crap, bullshit thinking that only you were ever putting in here. And what you're left with right here and now is a much better realization of who you really are. Right here and now, you will be left with a greater understanding and seeing of who you really are. And that is the power and the connection. Is when you stand there, that's what's going to really express out. Yeah.
It's very cool. We're getting thank yous.
You know, and by the way, a lot of people think that they're not, that's good. That's fine. I get it. I get all that. But I want to get on with it. I want to get on with building my business. What? We just talked about the thing that matters. Right. Yeah, no, I get all that. But then it's like, well, when you move forward from not that, so you're standing here in really less than who you really are. In being right here and now less than. You don't know all that you are in your standing here. And you think there's something more important than this for you to get acting on, right? So yeah, you should like go spend the money on the website and go put the hours in on the branding and go write that stuff. Oh, and by the way, make the calls and talk to people. And by the way, you know who's on the phone talking to those people? Is some person who has no idea who they are. And who's talking to those people is a person who used to be, real estate agent who wants to be coaching in the corporate world. And you know what they're picking up? I got this call today from this person this woman was in real estate and she somehow thinks she wants to coach leaders in organizations. And she was talking to me. That's who they talk. This is who they pick up. Doesn't matter what you say. Right? She seemed to know all this lingo, but it's kind of weird. So your work is really this.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me of an analogy. I was running late, so I was walking really, really quickly, but I didn't know where I was going, and I was going in the wrong direction. So I got further away because I was walking up this hill so fast, like shit, I'm late. And actually, if I'd have stopped and just kind of turned this way, had a little look this way, or had a little look at the map, done that bit of work, then I would have seen that the place I wanted to get to was right there.
Right.
And I would have been bang on time. But I was so adamant that it was like, no, I need to do this. I need to walk really quickly because I'm late. But I was actually getting further and further away from it. And it's like that's exactly what you're saying there around. You can crack on and do all of this stuff, but if you don't really stop and look here first, you'd end up exhausted, feeling like, what's wrong with me? This isn't working. And then you're going to start looking at other things because you think it's you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe it's been nearly an hour. I mean, what I'd like to do, Dominic, if it's all right with you, is obviously we are coming up to time. So just, is there anything that you'd like? I mean, you've got a feel for this group. You've got a feel for the people in it, fairly new coaches, people looking to create their business and move their business forward. What what advice, having gone from the very beginnings to where you are now, what would you say to speak to those guys about where they're at in their business? Where would you point them? What advice would you give?
It's so paradoxical. So if I went back to talk to me, so I go back and I talk to me at the beginning, right? Yeah. I'd say, okay, take it easy. would be fine. So I'd be pointing to ease. Relax, right? Just so I'd be pointing to ease. And I if I was to go back to say, is like, what's gonna work out for you is that all of those places where you are so excited, that's what's gonna work out for you. So because I looked at me in the beginning and I'm like, I'll do that and I'll do this and I could kind of like, because I'm just going to do anything, like just to kind of get things going. But if I went back to say to me then, I would say, and listen, if you just realize that the thing that's going to really work out and go further than you can even imagine will be those things where you were so excited. There was a passion there. You felt inspired. You were really engaged in those. So if number one, you could just relax and then get into those things, just allow them to take you and to spin into more and more momentum. They are the ones that actually lead you to the most money, the most clients, the most success, right? So this is really a feeling that you're paying attention to, that you're guided by this. And what does that feeling, all that's doing is you can feel when you some way, somehow are in this moment being in resonance with who you really are. You feel it. It just feels differently. If I, in this moment, am aligned and in resonance with who I really am, I'm in harmony with that, that feeling is a particular way. And as I try to twist myself out of it, because who I really am isn't good enough, it was good enough to do whatever I did, but not to build a coaching business, because to build a coaching business, there's these other things, and I watch what you guys do and it's different. And so I need to do that, right? So as I try to twist myself off of this, I'll feel the pain of it, the struggle of it. The more I can be sensitive to that, the more it's guidance. It will prevent me from going too far, and it has me step back to more ease, effortless, more inspiration and allowing. That to me would be really helpful.
Sounds like it's helpful to Shiva as well. What's going to work for you are the places where you're excited. Clears a lot of things I've been thinking about lately. I love this. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's like there is gold in there. That whole place you're excited. This is the kind of cool thing. That isn't about you, because you didn't pick it. You didn't think of that. That wasn't what you conjured and came up with from your mind. You don't actually get a choice about what you're excited about. The only question is, do you notice it? Do you notice what you're excited about? It's just pay attention and notice. That is coming from somewhere far more than right here. And it is the potential and possibility that is wanting to express through you. It wants expression through you. And so pay attention. Give that a little bit of attention. Allow that a little bit more. Yeah.
That's probably my favorite ever ending to a conversation. Apart from, let me give you 20 grand. thank you so much, Dominic. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honor, because it's the first time you've spoken face to face. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, we're really grateful for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me to the group, and thank you everyone in the group. Awesome.
Well, I was going to say, where can people find you if they want to get in touch? If you're open to that, you don't have to.
Oh, absolutely. So on Facebook, you can, friend me if you like. And then my name, right, if you do dominicscaffidi.com, takes you to a website. There's several free resources there, which have both talks about coaching, talks about creation, and this kind of creation, the way I've talked about it here. And then the third thing is there's a Facebook group. It's all on the website, but there's a Facebook group called Ask and It Is Given, How Thoughts Turn to Things. And that is sort of this conversation in a lot more fine tuning and detail. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, there we have it. So thanks very much. Cheers, guys. Thank you for everyone's questions.
Have a great rest of the day and week and all that. See everybody.